Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Salim Akhtar Malik, your host at the Observation Post channel. On this channel, I discuss issues of national and international importance, defense and security matters, latest trends in military technology, as well as important events from military history. Before I proceed further, I would request you to please subscribe to my channel by clicking the bell icon. So I consider your views and comments very important to me. And please give your comments and views on my videos, including the one which you are viewing now. These help me in fine tuning my talks, which I deliver to you from time to time on this channel. You can also connect with me on Twitter, where my address is at SalimAkhtar53. So, in this session, I'll be talking to you about the G7 counter initiative to China's One Belt, One Road initiative, or OBOR initiative. What is G7? G7 is a group of advanced economies. These are rich democracies, and these include the United States, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the Canada. Now, the purpose of this forum, it is a forum of, as I said, rich democracies, and the purpose of this forum is to bring together these countries uh, in influencing the global trends. The global trends which reflect their policies, their collective wisdom, and their collective geostrategic aims and objectives. So, this is the aim and purpose of these democracies, which form the G7 forum, and they held their recent summit meeting on 12th of June at Cornwall, United Kingdom, where they expressed their desire or their intention to launch a counter initiative to China's OBOR. And the purpose for launching such an initiative or a counter initiative, according to them, was because they alleged that China's OBOR initiative or One Belt, One Road initiative lacked transparency. It lacked human values and standard, as well as it was aimed at putting the poor countries under debt traps. Now, one fails to understand uh, the intention of the G7 countries when they say that they want to prevent or to protect the countries of the third world from getting into China's debt trap. Because most of these countries, excluding Canada, had been colonial powers. So, Japan was also a colonial power in the sense that it colonized Southeast Asia uh, during the Second World War. As for the United Kingdom, Germany, France, and Italy, they were all colonial powers which exploited the third world countries and which looted their resources. And as a result of the looting of those resources, they are what they are now. When we talk about the United States, it was itself founded on slave labor. And till the middle of the 20th century, it was ridden by racial segregation. So these countries, when they talk about human values about transparency, about debt traps. They themselves plunged the third world countries. They have plunged the third world countries into debt traps. And who else and which country knows it better than Pakistan? So in this session, I'll focus on the case study about Pakistan, how Pakistan was plunged into the death trap and ensnared into the debt trap created by the United States and world's financial lending institutions controlled by the United States. And these financial lending institutions are the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the Asian Bank. So Pakistan joined the International Monetary Fund in 1950, and since then it has gone to the International Monetary Fund for 22 times. So that it has got loans from International Monetary Fund for 22 times, and still it is a basket case, and its economy is in doldrums because the economic aid and the loans given by the IMF and the economic aid as given by the United States is another form of long-term loans. So these are nothing but traps through economic hitmen who then cause the countries, the target countries, to be deprived of their economic assets, and they remain slaves of these countries for times to come. This is what happened in case of Pakistan also. So as I said, Pakistan went to the International Monetary Fund 22 times, and still it is facing difficulties. It has a very, very fragile economy. So since 1950, Pakistan has received $40 billion in the United States aid. So in spite of this aid, the aid was not, it did not trickle to the common man. It only filled the coffers of the bootlickers and the Trojan horses of the United States and the lending institutions which are controlled by the United States. So the economic aid of the United States is always tied to the military aid. So they also give military aid in addition to the economic aid, because through the military aid, they fulfill their geostrategic objectives. And most part of this economic aid is used to defray the costs which are incurred to pay the salaries and the perks and privileges to the staff of the United States aid to Pakistan, that is US aid, as well as to a network of spies and agents, which include media persons, civil and military bureaucrats, etc., who work for the fruition of the United States strategic aims and objectives. And very little of it is transferred to the common man and is translated into real prosperity for the country. And this is what happened in case of Pakistan. Now, after receiving almost $40 billion and also military aid, which was not that much as compared with the economic aid, because the economic aid, a segment of the economic aid is always utilized for the maintenance of the system of bootlickers and carpetbaggers of the United States, which work for the, as I said, for the fruition of its economic aims and objectives. So, what political price Pakistan paid for getting the American aid? So, there is always a political price to be paid, and that included the U-2 incident during the 1960s, where Pakistan had provided an air base to the United States to snoop on or to spy on the erstwhile Soviet Union. Now, planes had been flying, the spy planes had been flying from this base, and they were intruding into the Soviet airspace and thereafter carrying out air reconnaissance missions, photographic reconnaissance missions to gain information about the Soviet Union. And one such plane, piloted by Gary Pars, was shot down over the Soviet Union during the 1960s. And as a result, Nikita Khrushchev, the then Prime Minister of the erstwhile Soviet Union, threatened Pakistan with nuclear retaliation. He said he had drawn a red circle around Peshawar. So, this was one incident where Pakistan, as a result of it, Pakistan threatened its very existence. And then during the so-called Afghan Jihad also, Pakistan had been launching operations with the help of Mujahideen, and those operations were launched in the Soviet Union proper. And they were so harebrained operations that at one time the local CIA chief in Pakistan told his Pakistani counterpart, please don't do anything which may result in the Third World War. So Pakistan was or had been threatening its very existence by providing such sort of assistance to the United States during the Cold War. Now, it is said that the United States had been providing military aid to Pakistan. Now, that military aid was provided for the fruition of United States' own geostrategic objectives. But then, from where did the money come for funding the 40 F-16 aircraft which Pakistan got as a result of the so-called package given by the economic and military package given by the United States during the 1980s. So the money was provided by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as a quid pro quo for Pakistan's stationing of an armored brigade at Tabuk at the tri-junction of Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel. So this is how the things happen, and the aid provided by the United States and its allies, the European Union countries, are also debt traps. And They have no moral justification for raising a finger at China. This is what all I wanted to say in this session. See you in the next session with a new video. Till then, bye bye.